Hi, this is Heather Branscombe with Abilities Neurological Rehabilitation. So today we're going to talk about the top 3 reasons you need to see a physiotherapist. So just because you have a neurological challenge or your child or a family member has a neurological challenge doesn't mean that they are stuck with seeing a physiotherapist for the rest of their life or the duration of their life. Yet, at the same time, there are some really important reasons why you would want to see a physiotherapist. So let's get into it today. So, the first reason, and probably the most important reason, is are you satisfied with your abilities? And when I say your abilities, that again, that could be the abilities of your child or yourself or a family member or someone that you love. And the reason that that's really, really important is because one, I know as a parent and working with parents with children with special needs, you know if your child is having an issue or not. I am a really big believer after all these years of clinical experience on parent gut. And so if your gut is telling you that things are not going the way that they should, then you should probably go see a physiotherapist and check that out. Secondly, even for people that have an actual established condition such as stroke rehab, what stroke rehab can look like, for example, for one person can be very different for someone else. Some people might feel like they have recovered after a stroke if they can just manage around their apartment and maybe a couple of areas in the community. Whereas other people aren't going to feel like they have fully recovered after a stroke until they're running their marathons again. So it really just goes back to that individual differences. Now, what I might think as a physiotherapist might be different than what you think about either yourself or your child or other family member or someone that you love with a neurological challenge. But even if I think that you or someone that you love might be more, might benefit more by having more movement in your life. And let's face it, I'm a physio. I'm probably going to think like most people are going to benefit more from more movement in your life. If you don't feel like that yourself, then you're not necessarily going to have the motivation to make those changes to put more movement in your life. So really it comes down to that satisfaction level that you have about yourself or loved one or someone that you care about, and whether they're satisfied or not with the level of abilities that they have right now. So the second reason could be maybe you're happy with the abilities that you are, but you might be worried. So are you worried about things getting worse or that your movement might get worse? And the reason that that's really important is because we know that changes that happen in the brain can also result in changes in the rest of the body. So in technical medical terms, we talk about the changes that have happened in the brain or in the spinal cord as primary changes, and then the changes that happen in the muscles or the joints or tendons or our heart and our lungs because of those changes in the brain, we call secondary changes. And often what we find is when people are living with neurological challenges, it's often the secondary changes that are making a bigger impact on their life than actually that primary change, which is that change or that lack of development in the brain and the spinal cord. So that's where physiotherapists really come in handy is in helping you how to minimize those secondary changes, or what I like to call to keep the windows of opportunity open, because we all know that our body is a use it or lose it kind of system, and it really is true. Our body is a use it or lose it system. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do 4 hours of exercise every day, but that's where the skill of a physiotherapist comes in. Physiotherapists can help you to prioritize knowing your condition that you have and some of the potential changes that can happen to minimize or eliminate those secondary changes. So that maybe potentially later on, if you want to learn new movement patterns or learn new movement skills and be able to do different things, if you've kept the windows of opportunity open, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be able to do those things. And even if you choose never to learn a new movement skill in your life, you're going to be happier and healthier if you can keep those windows of opportunity open. So the third reason you would want to see a physiotherapist is if you answer this question: do you have a goal in mind? So I like to use the analogy of physiotherapy like driving a car. So in this analogy, the role of the physiotherapist is how to get you from point A, which is where you are now, to point B, which is your goal. And if you don't have a point B, then there's really not much point in a physiotherapist developing a roadmap for you. We could develop our own roadmap of where we think you should be, but you might not be happy at that point B. We might drive you to McDonald's when where you really wanted to go was up a mountain to a trail. So having your own goal in mind is really, really important. Once you have that point B in mind, this is where the magic happens. This is where a physiotherapist can help you to get there faster, without tolls, with minimal pain and drain on your system and on your family system, and just to get there the most efficient way. That's where really we can work together. You determine where your point B is, we really determine where your point A is and how to get you to point B. You drive that car and then you get there the quickest way possible. So if you've answered yes to these questions, again, either for you or for someone that you love, it makes sense for you to contact us at Abilities Neurological Rehabilitation, because our whole job and passion and why we are what we are is to discover the potential of what you can do. So I'd like to invite you to connect with us and discover more about the potential of what you can do. We have links in our description box, or you can find us on our website, which is www.abilitiesrehabilitation.com. Thanks so much.